The FBI just raided John Bolton's home on Friday. Boxes of documents hauled away, electronics seized. But the real story isn't what they found in his house. It's what we found in Qatar. We have obtained exclusive footage of Bolton walking alone down a Doha street in January of 2020. No security, no diplomatic cover, just Bolton heading straight towards the Fahad Bin Ali Palace, a palace tied to Qatar's ruling elite. Now connect the dots. FBI raid, foreign cash, private email servers, classified documents. The swamp's biggest warmonger might have been playing for the other team all along. And what you're about to see changes everything. So stay tuned. And speaking of protecting yourself from deep state betrayal, let me ask you something. If the power went out tonight, if stores were empty tomorrow, would you be ready? Well, most people aren't. That's why I always recommend My Patriot Supply. And right now, they've got a special deal on their 3-month emergency food kit. You'll save $100, but only while supplies last. This kit gives you over 2,000 calories a day for 90 days. Real meals, not just freeze-dried mush. I'm talking about breakfast, lunch, dinner, even drinks and snacks. Go to preparewithgary.com right now. Get prepared and get peace of mind. Now, as I was casually scrolling my X feed over the weekend, yes, 48 hours ago, I stumbled upon some footage of John Bolton right here. I'm going to show it to you. But this is what's really interesting. This is newly resurfaced footage. Now, people were going after me about saying, oh, we knew about this in 2020 and everybody knew. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Sure. Yes, this is from 2020. But you need to connect the dots to what is happening today. Newly resurfaced footage places John Bolton in Doha, Qatar, January 15th of 2020, walking along Rayyan Road, just steps from a palace tied to Qatar's elite. With the FBI raid on his U.S. home, this sighting raises explosive new questions. So here he is. This is John Bolton in Doha, January 2020. No entourage, no diplomatic cover, just a lone walk down Rayyan Road across from Qatar's most powerful compounds. Nearly a year before Trump left office, Bolton was moving in circles that raise red flags. Now, confirmation, I did a little bit of digging because we had this visual right here. This was the giveaway, Rayyan Road. So simply typing that in, we found it on Google Street View. Shows the exact same location. Rayyan Road, Street 50, Zone 2, the building, the barred windows, the yellow posts, the road sign all match perfectly. Bolton wasn't just anywhere in Doha. He was right here. Now, taking a look at the bird's eye view, the red box marks the stretch of road where Bolton was filmed. This is not speculation. The architecture, the windows, the sign, the exact street line up. Bolton was physically in Doha. Now take a closer look, all right? It's the green box that matters here. The red box is where Bolton was filmed. The green box is the Fahad Bin Ali Palace. He wasn't wandering randomly. He was walking directly down the road toward a palace tied to Qatar's political elite because the destination matters. Now, here is the Fahad Bin Ali Palace itself, listed as a government office in Doha. It is not a random villa. It's the site tied to Qatar's ruling elite, power, influence, and money all converge right there, and Bolton was filmed walking right towards it. Fast forward to now, the FBI raided his home. Agents hauled away boxes of documents and electronics. When you connect this raid to Bolton's movements in Doha in 2020, the questions multiply. What did he know, and who was he meeting with? Photographs there from the raid on his home. Even the New York Post splashing it across their front page, FBI raids Bolton's stash. Trump's fiercest foe now caught in classified document probe. But the real question, do the documents connect back to Bolton's quiet palace visit in Doha, January 2020? That's a question that we need to ask everybody. Now, here is the footage. See it for yourself walking along this road. absolutely bizarre. Now, people were beginning to ask questions. Franchi, where did you find this footage? Well, the story is not over. Bolton in Doha, Palace ties, FBI raid. The story is not over. We're going to continue digging. Now, this is the actual post. Back in 2020, locals in Qatar were asking the question, is this John Bolton walking on the sidewalk, or is this John Bolton's doppelganger? This is the original post. You can see the date right there. I'll zoom in so you can see it. January 15th of 2020. The $1 million question today in Qatar. And there is the footage. And of course, people, Anons were all over this back in 2020. This is old news. Do try to keep up. I said, read the thread again. This isn't old news. The footage is from 2020, but the FBI raid happened yesterday. The dots weren't connected until now. That is the whole point. Try to keep up. So we're going to continue tracking all of this because there is more. Okay. The House Permanent Select Committee chair weighing in on the FBI raid on the former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton's home. Let's listen in. This is Fox Business just 11 hours ago on Mornings with Maria.
Driven by the national. I suspect that if the media and the American people let this case actually unfold, if they let the investigation unfold as it's currently doing, they're going to find out that what we're doing is being very deliberate and being very driven by the national interest and by the law here, and that's as it should be.
That's Vice President J.D. Vance defending the federal government's investigation into former National Security Advisor John Bolton, pushing back against Democrats who are calling the raid on Bolton's home retribution. The FBI conducting a surprise raid on Friday on Bolton's Maryland home over claims that he sent highly sensitive classified documents from a private email server to his family during the first Trump administration. Bolton has not been charged with any crimes.
What is it with these guys and their private email servers? Seriously.
Joining me now is Arkansas Congressman Rick Crawford. He is the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Mr. Chairman, great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. Your reaction to what took place on Friday?
Yeah, I think the vice president summed it up pretty well. Look, I think if the FBI under Director Patel and the DOJ under AG Bondi feel like it's necessary to serve a warrant, probable cause indicates that they need to serve a warrant, then that's fairly standard. I don't think Democrats should be throwing a fit over this, particularly given the nature of the raid on Mar-a-Lago. This is relatively mild by comparison, and so I don't understand the outrage over this particular incident. And this will be fully adjudicated. This is very transparent. Everybody's aware of what's going on here. It's not like this is some sort of a secret plot to try to take somebody down. It just seems to be a double standard here.
Well, I mean, there is a double standard. And by the way, there's outrage on the other side as well. I've got some outrage over the 10 years of attacks on President Trump and the lies from Russia collusion to indictments to impeachments and all the rest, trying to smear the president's name for so many years.
And of course, John Bolton played a role in the smears.
Ever going to see any accountability for that, in your view?
Yeah, in fact, our committee has taken some pretty bold steps to ensure that happens. D&I Gabbard has you've seen what she's done over the last couple of weeks, where she's basically pulling back the curtain saying, here's what happened. There will be accountability. There's a whole lot of folks at the very top of the heap, from President Obama to former FBI Director Comey to former CIA Director Brennan, former DNI Clapper, and a whole host of senior executives in those related agencies that have a lot of explaining to do. And DNI Gabbard is leading a transparency effort.
Well, I mean, look, you're the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, and there was a time that Adam Schiff was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee. And while he was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, he went on all these TV shows, and he said that Trump colluded with Russia, and that there was Trump-Russia collusion in plain sight. Now, as chairman of the Intelligence Committee, wouldn't he have known better?
Well, he should have, and in fact, he did. And so he basically conjured up a whole lot of speculation. Yes, he did lie. He's a serial liar and a serial leaker. He should have never been chairman of that committee, never been on the committee as far as I'm concerned. But I was on the committee the entire time that he was chair and ranking member. and he had no business being on that committee, and there's more to come on that.
What do you mean?
We're all waiting to find out exactly what is going to happen. Okay, so let's check in with this fella, asking what the FBI found after searching John Bolton's home, Dr. Steve Turley.
But in many respects, hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your back porch professor. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, but I can tell you who most certainly is not. And that, of course, is the swamp rat par excellence, John Bolton. But in many respects, and I'm just going to cut to the chase here, while everyone's talking about the raid itself, and we'll certainly get into that, but they're missing the bigger picture here. This is not just about John Bolton. This is about Trump and Kash Patel sending a very clear message to the whole of the swamp, to the whole of the DC permanent political class that's tried to bring down Trump over these last 8 years. You are now all going down, all of you. None of you are above the law anymore. Bolton is just the first of many, many more raids that are about to happen. So as you all know, as of 7 a.m. yesterday morning, the FBI raided Bolton's Bethesda home. They actually pretty much raided every piece of property he's occupied over the last several years. They raided his home. They raided his D.C. office. We're now getting reports that FBI agents removed computer equipment, including a desktop CPU capable of storing sensitive data, multiple boxes of materials taken from both his home and office, various documents and files. Again, the specific contents have not yet been publicly disclosed. What is clear is that the search was specifically related to classified documents that investigators believe Bolton may have improperly handled or retained. And the investigation, it centers on several key areas. I mean, first and foremost, it surrounds Bolton's 2020 tell-all book about Trump that was supposed to help sabotage Trump's reelection efforts. But
2020, that is the year that he was spotted in Qatar. Just put that in the back of your head.
Ironically, in doing that, it turns out that Bolton included a bunch of classified information in the book. Also, investigators are examining whether Bolton shared portions of his book draft with unauthorized individuals before receiving proper government approval. And the FBI reportedly obtained emails showing Bolton was drafting his manuscript while still employed at the White House. And he shared early sections with his publishing representatives before those sections were cleared by national security agents. We're now also getting reports that CIA Director John Ratcliffe provided FBI Director Kash Patel with information on what they're calling, quote, overseas intelligence that Bolton improperly had in his possession. Again, given the national security sensitivity nature of things, it's all rather cryptic at this point, but...
And he was spotted in 2020 walking to the palace in Doha. Oh, my goodness.
Legal experts such as my namesake, Jonathan Turley, they're already saying that Bolton is in a heap of trouble. Properly handling classified documents and data and leaking them and publishing them comes with a penalty of literally decades in prison. So this guy is in serious hot water. But here's what makes this absolutely brilliant and why this raid represents something much bigger than just going after one warmongering bureaucrat.
I'm listening.
This raid represents the first real blow against what we commonly refer to as the deep state.
Yeah!
These are the unelected bureaucrats who think they're untouchable. The ones who leak classified information to hurt presidents they don't like. The ones who write books and then go on CNN to cash in on their government service, right? Bolton isn't just some random former official. This guy is the epitome of the military-industrial complex. That's what they call him, bombing Bolton, because the solution to literally every international problem is just more war, more bombing, more forever conflicts that make defense contractors rich while American soldiers come home in flag-draped coffins. So Trump brought him in his first term, if I recall, was more or less to appease the neocon establishment, especially the donor establishment, when Trump was still, I think, somewhat naively trying to build bridges with the neocon wing of the party. So he brought Bolton on, and then he quickly fired him because he realized Bolton was just, again, he's more interested in starting World War III than implementing America First foreign policy. But Bolton and his corruption really is just the tip of the iceberg in the deep state. Bolton, from his office in D.C., literally has his fingerprints in every nefarious activity of the deep state, which means, given the seriousness of these charges, he's guaranteed to sing. Bolton is going to sing like a canary. And that song is going to be bringing down a whole bunch of players here. And so we're talking about, I mean, Bolton is just the first domino to fall here. We now know James Comey is under investigation. John Brennan is under investigation. It looks like the Clintons are in Kash Patel's sights. In fact, just yesterday, Patel revealed that James Comey authorized leaks of classified documents while misleading Congress just before the 2016 election. They actually have hard evidence on that now. So we're talking about a systematic cleaning of the house that should have happened years ago. I mean, these people have been breaking the law left and right. They've been profiting from their positions. They thought they were untouchable because they were part of the Washington establishment, and on and on and on. Well, the establishment just got a very rude wake-up call as of 7 a.m. yesterday morning. So bottom line, I think this is why elections matter. This is why we fought so hard to get Trump back in the White House, and why we need people like Kash Patel in positions of actual authority. Because for too long, we've watched a two-tier justice system where the rules only apply to conservatives while liberals skate free. That ends now. But here's what I need you to do, gang. Share this video. Make sure everyone knows what's really happening here with the Bolton raid and why it matters at a larger scale. The legacy media is going to do everything they can to spin this as Trump's revenge and weaponizing the DOJ and all that nonsense. No, this is equal justice under the law, finally. And it's all because of what you did on November the 5th. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button if you want to stay updated on every single development of what I'm calling the great cleansing of Washington, D.C., because this Bolton raid, this is just day one. It's literally just the beginning. The swamp is finally being drained, and it's absolutely beautiful to watch. God bless.
You know, I wasn't going to play that whole thing, but man, that was solid. That was solid. The first domino to fall. Dr. Steve Turley breaking it down beautifully. Now, let's check in and see how Fox is reporting on this. If there's credible evidence someone jeopardized national security, are we supposed to look the other way? Greg Jarrett firing back at Democrats claiming retribution.
Not refuse to. It's a silly argument to make, retribution based on, speculation and hysteria. Look, Charlie, if there's credible evidence that somebody jeopardized national security, are we supposed to look the other way? Are political opponents free to commit crimes? No, of course not. The federal government cannot refuse to investigate or prosecute simply because the suspect is a critic of the president. Yet that's what those Democrats and some of the media seem to be arguing, that any detractor like Bolton is somehow immune by virtue of his political status. Please show me where there's an exception written in the law that shields adversaries from the legal consequences of their wrongful acts. It's a silly argument to.
Continuing with our deep dive here, here's Representative Pat Fallon. If Bolton isn't in possession of any classified documents, then he's in the clear. If he is in possession, then he must be held accountable just like anyone else, except for, of course, Joe Biden, who was not held accountable.
Explain to your view.
The president said he had no prior knowledge of that raid, but you sit on the House Intel Committee, and leadership there said, look, yeah, we were notified. So what seems to be the reason for the raid, and what, if anything, can we expect moving forward?
Clearly, there's probable cause. So I want to explain to your viewers what it's like when you handle classified documents. It's not as if they come into our office in the Rayburn building and give them to us. We go to a SCIF, which is a secure area where this classified information is not supposed to leave. And sitting on the House Intel Committee, there's a SCIF that I go to. And even if I want to take notes on what I read, the notes that I take, Kevin, stay in the SCIF. So there is no reason in the world, unless you're the president of the United States that has the authority to declassify, that classified documentation is outside of a SCIF. So we'll find out. If John Bolton isn't in possession of any classified documents, he's in the clear. But if he is, he's going to have to face justice just like everyone else.
Yes, sir. Justice is finally coming. Let's check in with reports that are surfacing. The FBI raid on the former NSA John Bolton wasn't solely about classified documents from his book. He was raking in massive cash from foreign sources and might have been involved in smuggling sensitive intelligence. Oh, what was he doing here in Qatar in 2020? It all becomes clear, doesn't it?
This might have nothing to do with classified documents or about classified intelligence that Bolton printed in his book. Trump Justice Insider Mike Davis says Democrats, rhinos, and reporters who think this raid on John Bolton is about his book will be very embarrassed when the search warrant becomes public. Primetime's hearing Bolton was making a lot of money from overseas and may have been trafficking in intelligence. That wouldn't be putting America first. Constitutional scholar Jonathan Turley, who we just heard from, says Bolton could be looking at up to 20 years in prison. So Bolton should take his own advice and take a big, beautiful, deep breath.
I think it's important that everybody take a deep breath here. This is a very serious matter, and it would be better if
this might have nothing to do with classified.
Take a deep breath, right? Let's see. We have this here. Julie Kelly going off. John Bolton's a longtime swamp creature.
Foreign policy. John Bolton is a longtime swamp creature, 50 plus years in Washington, D.C. His dirty fingerprints all over some of the worst foreign policy decisions this country has ever made. And then bragging about and throwing in the face of the president his access to classified material and publishing it in his book just a few months before Election Day in 2020. He is just one of many individuals in Washington who use their access, who abuse their authority and their influence to try to take down President Trump. So this is one shot across the bow. As you know, when you've talked to people and interviewed people, it does appear that there are grand jury investigations, proceedings, and other jurisdictions related to other potential lawfare perpetrators.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about those in a moment.
Here's the headline that was on the Daily Mail. FBI raid on John Bolton's home linked to him sending highly sensitive classified documents using a private email server. Oh, come on, man. Let's check in. Here's Chris Christie. This is the Chris Christie interview that angered Donald Trump.
Separation. Look, let's face it. The president said earlier in that video you showed, you didn't show this piece, where he said he's the chief federal law enforcement officer in the United States. Donald Trump sees himself as the person who gets to decide everything. And he doesn't care about any separation. In fact, he absolutely rejects the idea that there should be separation between criminal investigations and the politically elected leader of the United States. This is much different than it's ever been run before. But look, let me say candidly to the American people who are watching, you were told this. You were told that this was what he was going to do. And not by me, by Donald Trump during the 2024 campaign. He told you he was going to do this, that he was going to have a Justice Department that acted as his personal legal representation. And that is what they're doing. And J.D. Vance is just, quite frankly, got caught telling the truth because they are running it.
And of course,
Oh, Chris Christie. I remember when you were standing behind President Trump after he won, just begging for a spot in the administration. Instead, you got cast aside, and now you're just scrambling for relevance on the fake news. Oh, this story is far from over. The dominoes are starting to fall. And if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. 50 years in the swamp, folks. That is John Bolton's resume. And now we know why he fought Trump at every turn. The man who was literally walking into Qatari palaces while serving as national security advisor. No security detail, no official business. Just Bolton, whoever was waiting behind those palace doors. The FBI didn't raid his home over some book dispute. This is about foreign cash, private servers, and classified intel going places it should never go. So here's my question. Should Bolton face the same treatment as any American who sells out to foreign powers? Drop a yes or no in the comments. The establishment's protected him for decades. Time's up. Justice doesn't care about your mustache or your war medals. And check out our merch shop below and show them that we are done with the betrayals. This is Gary Franchi, and that is my final thought.